Yeah, I'll let you know when we're live. Huh? Yeah, we're not live yet. It's waiting. No, it's Okay.
Can you maybe bring up, like the Google or whatever view of the landfill? Like Google that way?
A picture? Like an aerial?
Yeah, like whatever's.
I'm trying to think, probably.
Google Maps.
Well, I was gonna look, I was trying to pull up the meeting. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to think.
Sorry.
That's okay.
All right, let's get started. It's a little after 5. I'm Scott Brown, the host inspector, and at this point, turn the meeting over to Astor to go over the waste activities and other activity at the landfill.
All right. Start for Q1 monthly tonnages. For MSW, January did 19,256 tons. February was 17,442. March was 18,986. For C&D, in January we did 2,859 tons. In February we did 2,730. In March we did 5,799 tons. For residual, in January we did 708 tons. In February we did 1,622. And in March we did 947. For alternative daily cover, in January we did 751 tons. February dropped down to 128 tons, and in March it was 551. Sewer sludge, we did 390 tons. In February we did 332, and in March we did 597. Out-of-state waste, in January was 11,073 tons. In February was 11,539, and in March was 14,340. For recycling, we had in January we had 3 residents, 2/3 of that, so 2 of them were from Lower Socket. In February we had 6 people in recycling drop off, 80% of that was from the township, and then in March we had 5 people, 80% was from Lower Socket. All the recycling is taken by Republic Disposal and disposed of at Green Star Recycling in Northampton, PA. For muse submittals, Kobo Production Inc. On January 25th, 2024. On January 31st, we had 79 Harvard Development LLC, which is contaminated soil. For me, February 1st, we had Sci Energy, that's been activated carbon. On February 14th, we had Devon Self Storage, cold derived bottom ash was submitted a form U. Again, on February 20th, we had a form U submitted from 79 Avern Development LLC, which was contaminated soil. March 8th, we had Lebanon Seaboard Corp., which is waste tires. March 12th, we had Quiet Core Inc., it's plant trash. March 14th, we had Bethlehem Steel, sandblast, abrasive, and residue. March 19th, we had Lehigh Valley Industrial Park, contaminated soil. And then March 25th and 27th, we had 2 form U's submitted for Sci Energy activated carbon. First quarter for annual groundwater trend analysis, our first quarter sampling event was February 12th through February 16th. Correspondence and reports. So on January 5th, our Q3 groundwater report was turned into the township, and on February 7th, our Q4 groundwater report was submitted to the township. So that's all operations. So our DEP inspections, on January 11th, we had Nat Black on. January 18th, we had our engineering inspection from Matt Bogowski. January 26th, Amy was out for partial. February 21st, we had Matt Rathbun and Bogowski on site at the same time. February 26th, Matt Rathbun was back out. March 14th, we had Matt Rathbun out with Chris Harding, is Ava Lonka, and Ben Hand on it. And then March 20th, we had Matt Bogowski out. For the post-municipal inspector inspections, Scott was out on January 4th, January 10th, January 18th, February 1st, February 15th, March 7th, and March 21st. Commercial waste vehicles, in January we had 2,226. For February we had 2,075. In March we had 2,357. For overweights, in January we had 36. There's 32 were given warnings, and 4 were suspended. In February, 42 overweights with 40 warnings, 2 suspensions. And in March we had 50 overweights with 35 warnings and 15 suspensions. Excuse me. Flare operations and gas collection. The landfill flare is the main gas collection system. Bethlehem Landfill continues to communicate with SES field services with any routine and non-routine maintenance to maximize landfill gas production and minimize odors. January average flow was 3,184 SCFM. Times for flare shutdowns. On the 14th, it was down from 9:18 to 9:46 and 10:18 to 10:24 due to high winds, and was restarted. January 30th, 2024, from 21:11 to 23:16, the flare was down due to suspected high condensate flow. Flare was looked over for maintenance and performed checks and restarted. On January 31st, from 13:34 to 13:55, flare was manually shut down for well-full construction tie-ins. Total downtime flare for January was 3 hours out of 744 runtime hours. February average flare flow was 3,360 SCFM. On February 1st, 11:19 to 13:21, the flare was manually shut down for well-flow construction tie-ins. On February 2nd, 21:36 to 23:45, the flare shut off due to low average temps. Call was responded to by our KF field techs. Flare was manually restarted. February 5th, from 16:03 to 16:14, flare was shut off for routine maintenance checks. Total downtime of flare for February was 4 hours, 24 minutes out of 696 total run hours. March average flare flow, 3,344 SCFM. No shutdowns for the month of March. No downtime out of 744 total runtime hours. During Q1, North Slope Road had 90 repairs, the swells 90 repairs, and then outside erosion and sedimentation trap A spillway was repaired in March 2024.
Is that spillway still there?
Yes.
The abatement system continued to operate and discharge to the city of Bethlehem wastewater treatment plant. Leachate collection. We have seen, similar to last quarter, we're seeing an increase with the development of the northern realignment cell into LMC7. And then, same with LMC8, we also saw an increased flow due to the reconstruction of phase 2's downstream stormwater control. Radiation monitoring, there were 8 radioactive load alarms from January to March 2024. On January 12th, 24, the load was identified as okay, 177, and the load was disposed of on site. On 1/15/24, Bethlehem 177, and that was also disposed of on site. February 2nd, the load was identified as iodine 125. The load was disposed of on site. On February 20th, the load was identified as technetium 99, and the load was disposed of on site. February 29th, the load was identified as iodine 131, and the load was disposed of on site. March 7th, the load was identified as technetium 99, and the load was disposed of on site. March 20th, 2024, the load was identified as iodine 131, and the load was disposed of on site. And on March 22nd, 2024, the load was identified as iodine 131 and the load was disposed of on site. All loads are reported to the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. Waste operations continue to be in southeastern realignment to AB Phase 1, Phase 2.
That's, Katie, what's that?
It's mainly used for metal treatment, so it's
No.
same thing as stadium
I've
lights.
seen that before.
It's newer used isotope that they didn't instead of iodine because that's supposed to be a thyroid.
Chemotherapy.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Astor. All right, now I will be going over the my inspection reports, the host municipal inspector reports, and I'll highlight the DEP inspection reports for the first quarter. From my inspection reports, January 24th, the odor issues on January 24th. There was gas odors detected from the roughly the Krasnansky property to the Swin salvage yard before and after the actual landfill inspection. I'll do a tour around the outside the perimeter of the facility. Both times detected. January 18th, light landfill gas odor was again detected with Krasnansky property to the self-storage building prior to landfill, and after landfill there was no odor detected. February 1st, no odor detected before and after. February 15th, same no odor before and after. March 7th, landfill gas odor was detected from the landfill entrance to the Red Barn Auto. The Red Barn prior to and after the landfill. And March 21st, there was a slight odor was detected in the area of Swin salvage yard. Prior to the landfill inspection and after the landfill inspection, slight odor was detected in the area of the church on Alabama Road. Action items, these are basically observations that are made during landfill inspection and giving a status throughout our following reports on how they're progressing on addressing the action items. So on January 4th, 2024, addressing the gas odors being generated at southeast corner of cell 2AB at the landfill was in the process of getting quotes at that point to start for the capping project. It continued removal of some sediment around the blue leachate storage tank. It's kind of an ongoing process with stormwater. It collects in there. It's a detainment pond around the basin around the leachate storage. Stormwater down channels through 4A and cell 3C are being repaired, and NAPA has completed the placement of liner for the northeast rear alignment NR1 cell. January 18th, EL received a quote from NAPA to complete the capping project at the southeast corner, and DEP has been advised that the proposed intermediate capping project. And NAPA was actually staging their capping materials at that point also.
Scott, can you just explain what was happening at that southeast corner that requires the action of discussion there?
Well, that's where the gas odors were detected and noted in the DEP inspection report in January 11th. They had some exceedances of gas from that area. They also could see some leachate and some actual gas bubbles in the leachate from the southeast corner. So this has been it's been an issue for close to a year, that maybe a little less, that there's been an odor issue coming from that, and Bethlehem Landfill has been trying several, adding more cover. They added more horizontal wells around the north and along the eastern edge. They've tried even just adding the road, adding a real thick cover material over top of the gas, over the top of the fill at the southeast corner, and it didn't work. So that's when they decided the only solution really was to cap that southeast corner. So that's kind of where we are. Well, we're back in January, and as of now, that has been completed, and they're in the process of getting approval to put some vertical gas wells down into the waste pack underneath the line area, which will help collect that gas and take it to the flare to be burned, or whenever the gas to energy plant gets started, it will eventually be able to go to that point. So, and the odor, I know I'm jumping ahead here a little bit, the odor has substantially subsided. When I've been out, DEP's noted that it's helping already without the gas removal being in place.
That's the capping process.
That was the capping, yeah. So the capping process is just what it is. There's a 25 millimeter PVC plastic wire that gets tied in at the base and basically covers over top of the waste and traps the gas in there for the collection system to basically suck out the gas from underneath there and take it to that. So that's what you see when you go across the landfill. You see a lot of black material or green, maybe green stuff material. That's all capping over top of waste. So it kind of creates an envelope for the gas to collect it and be drawn out.
So basically, when the new gas company gets started up, that will probably eliminate 95% of that problem?
Well, the wells will eliminate it, and right now the gas, the flare will handle that. So it being.
But is that, are they equivalent? Is the gas company equivalent to what the flare's pulling? Or will they both be pulling the same amount?
After that.
I mean, the first source is, once the RNG plant is online, the first source is gonna be the RNG plant.
Right.
But we will also use the flares as supplemental fuel as well. So just to have extra flow. So most likely we'll have the RNG plant and the flare running simultaneously.
Right, but what I'm trying to say, and maybe I'm not being clear, is basically, once this company is online and the pull is directly to them, will that pull be stronger than what the flare is pulling from the area?
No, they're about the same.
About the same, okay. So we just had the conversation, the company's going online somewhere between May 31st and June 16th,
Yeah, roughly.
and the township paperwork is holding some of that up?
That's what they're waiting on, is occupancy permit from the township, correct?
Okay, maybe we can get that moving a little quicker because the summer's coming. Okay, that's about all, thank you.
What is being held up at the township?
The occupancy.
Yeah, they're afraid from saying it's being held up at the township, but they're waiting on the occupancy permit from the
On
township.
what?
Occupancy permit.
Okay, so who's holding that up then?
That's what I'm saying, I didn't say they're holding that, that's what they're waiting on.
Oh, because I want the township.
We want to make sure that there's a formal review of
Correct.
everything on that occupancy permit.
Correct.
Absolutely, and so I wanted to make sure we were in the clear.
I will
that it's-
discuss it with the zoning officer tomorrow, but
Okay. Okay.
I just want to be clear, I did not say the township was holding anything up. That's
No,
what
he
they're-
didn't,
that's what
those
they're
were my
waiting.
words,
Yeah.
sorry, those
That's
were
what
my
I
words.
heard it.
There's a delay because of the occupancy.
I just wanted to make sure that we were in the clear.
Yeah, that's the last piece of it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, January 18th, Napa completed, started placing the 24-inch stone cover over the northeast, northern realignment cell 1 project, so that's the furthest north new cell that they're constructing. Sediment removal continues around the pump, the leachate storage tank, and the stormwater channels 4A through 4A and 3C are continuing to be worked on.
I don't want to take off, because this is one of my things, is the sediment, the leachate storage tank, is that typically full all the time, or no?
There's actually never been leachate in there.
There's never been leachate?
Not up to this point. There's gonna be eventually, but because the wastewater treatment plant wants us to meter the water over. During some of the tropical storms, they got kind of inundated. So with the new permit, they asked us to use the tank to meter it over.
So it's my understanding that the containment pond around there is a lined pond, in case there was ever a breach of the tank or the pipes.
Maybe like a secondary containment.
Yes, secondary containment.
The amount of sediment in the amount, so the amount of sediment that's in there right now is that designed to hold twice the tank, or is it designed to hold 1.25%?
I was saying that was designed 25 years ago,
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't remember. It's, I mean, the sediment's clean.
Yeah, there's
without
consistently
like
cleaning
film about pretty much some like film that was cleaned out.
Yeah, I saw the pictures, like, near the pipes, it's probably like 2 feet.
Yeah, less than they're out, yeah.
Right around
So we
there.
keep digging it
Yeah.
out and then it keeps, so we're trying to get the stormwater to go around it.
So that was, that was never intended to hold sediment. Obviously, it would fill off with
No.
water, and then the water would need to be pumped out, so there's an issue with sediment collecting around the tank.
Yeah, correct.
Has that liner ever been tested in the past 25 years? Just make sure it holds water.
So actually so unfortunately, we've been working on this, like, this, as the wastewater treatment plant asked us to use that tank. So they actually went through, cleaned it all out, changed all that liner out, and then filled the sediment again, so we'll have to go and change it all out again.
Yeah, no, I know typically machines down there, the liner. Is it double liner or just single liner?
Yes, I believe that's just a single, because it's just like a different tank. And then I can double check and find out how much that, what the capacity of that is.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't know everything was gonna be full, but if it's gonna be full, might as well, someone follow up on it.
Yeah, now it's more correct once it's being
Right.
used.
Yeah.
That kind of extended.
I mean, up until this point, they didn't have an issue with anything.
Understood.
Okay. February 15th, at that point, Napa had completed the grading over top of the waste in preparation for placement of the new 25-millimeter liner or capping material. over
Just
top
tell
of
me
that.
where we are again on this, on your page.
February 15th, and
Number 4.
number 4, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, 4A. So the ground grading was all completed. And that also completed placement of the soil berm around the northern realignment, western and northern limits of the cell, and starting placement of the 24-inch stone cover over the liner when the weather conditions were conducive. Circulator continuing to remove sediment out of around the storage tank. March 7th, Napa completed the intermediate capping project, and Bethlehem Landfill is now working on started working on the gas plan for installing the vertical wells. So ultimately for DEP approval to install those wells. Napa was near completion of the 24-inch stone cover in the northern realignment of cell 1. Sediment, again, around the leachate storage tank was continuing. The repair of leachate seeps in northern section of cells SE2AB, that's where the actual fill area is right now. Those were repaired. And sediment trap A, its northern berm, that was also repaired, and that was damaged during one of the heavy storms. That's located. It's located immediately to the west of the maintenance garage. If you're familiar with the landfill at all. And it's on basically flows toward the water that flows out of that pond, which is very small, flows to the north down towards the riverside. It's not a stormwater detention pond like you see out front. It's more just there for collecting sediment. The pond itself is, I'd say, it's kind of triangular shaped, and it's made about 40 feet wide at the height that the berm on the northern side, maybe about 7 feet long. So it's about 1,600 to maybe 1,600 square feet total area, and not very deep. So it's not like anything like you see along the front of the landfill. Those are large bases all along the apple butter roadside.
Can you explain like that sediment trap? My understanding is from the DEP inspection report in February that it was identified as an area that just wasn't under regular monitoring, it wasn't part of the permit for the landfill, and then they discovered this issue. And can you just explain that?
Well, from my history with that sediment trap pond was part of cell 4F, the wall. So that was the high wall that was constructed just to the south and west of the maintenance garage. That's at the very top of the landfill. That was part of that construction project, and then it was left in place after that construction project was completed. There's no real, at the outlets where that spillway over that northern berm there was no design kind of channel that DEP required to be put in, so it just basically followed the natural grade down through the landfill, which was probably 200 feet from the northern perimeter fence, and then from that point it just would flow down the hillside down to Riverside, like it has for millions of years. A lot of that water that used to flow down that northern side was to the north was about 10 acres of that water was then, because of the high wall project, was actually relocated, designed to actually flow to the south to the Apple Road. So the high wall project actually took away 10 acres of area that used to collect stormwater and flow down toward Riverside, and now it takes it towards Apple Road and into the stormwater ponds that are along Apple Road with land.
So can you just explain, I think now with that, I guess, I don't want to use the wrong term, but where that escape section was that they found, it's now a requirement under the DEP permit that
Well,
that is inspected?
DEP asked now that sediment trap be now included as part of the routine inspections and reporting. It was never required, so they're saying now it has to. Landfill has to monitor it and report back, prepare reports for so the Bethlehem Landfill it is incorporated the repair and obviously there are agreements to monitor it. I guess at this point the discharge from that pond is also going to be permitted as a discharge point, but they can't create the permit until the design is completed for the discharge structure. So will be in the process. That's down the road. So it'll be it'll be regulated more than it was before. It wasn't really regulated flow after it left the sedimentation.
And then, just from what I understand, up that berm where the, I don't know, breach with that area where it was
Just
coming
fix the
through.
erosion. There's erosion on the outside of this whole thing, just repair it.
Right, okay, so now
Still the same height, still designed the same, it just fix the erosion on the outside.
just repair that, the erosion that, where it was going over the berm, going through the berm to the downslope to the riverside line, right? Okay.
And just to be clear, the landfill did submit a written response to DEP with respect to that issue, and the township was copied. So all of those details are included in a letter dated March 21st that the township has a copy of. Thank you.
So one of the concerns I have with that whole situation was, one of the concerns I had with that situation was that the typical guy who's out there inspecting these soil erosion and sediment controls every week he signs off on whether it's a violation or not, every single time. And it's a line item right here, and implemented as per approved plans, always over 9 inches repaired. So what happened there, he was out on site, and he couldn't make that determination whether they're following the plan or not. So to me, it's where, how much of this is being checked for the soil erosion and sediment control plans while he's out on site, you know? I don't know how far that goes, and I don't question DEP, but is there a approved set of plans, stamp plans on site that he typically reviews?
As far as I know from that said Pond A, I don't think, again, there was no design out of structure,
Yeah.
so
I mean,
I'm not sure what he would follow is going to have to now, is they're going to be repairing those, and obviously then they would have something to follow.
I was on the landfill committee meeting, this was probably almost a year ago, and I think I was on it sent off, but the set trap is indicated on the ENS control plans as being a set trap on their ENS control plans. So wherever he came up with, he doesn't know, he has to go back to his engineer. I'm just, like I said, there's landfill inspectors, and then there's the Northampton County Conservation District. They only deal in erosion and sediment control. And where that line is it better to have the Conservation District accompany the DEP inspector when they go out and investigate this stuff?
That's just a question.
So, who's the Northampton County inspector? Do we have his name?
He's on the Conservation District. They typically, any construction site or site that has a PCSN and open, and that's erosion sediment control plan open, they have the authority over that stuff within Northampton County.
But the DEP inspection report, which says all this stuff where Scott's reading from, doesn't have anything from the county on it.
No.
Right, so you're saying that it should, like, what would they do, what would they say?
Yeah.
Right.
And I would just add, Matt, that it's a little bit of a different situation than your typical construction project because the landfill as a whole is permitted by DEP, so
Yeah.
those kinds of inspections are subsumed. Whether the conservation district can or should or would come in and inspect, I don't know that the landfill would have any problem with that, but the reason that doesn't happen is because it's a DEP permitted facility.
Well, but I think, you know, a lot of these issues will have to do with erosion and sediment control. Obviously, there's sediment problems back on the tank. You know, there's obviously sediment problems in the past with basins not being cleaned out, that type of thing. That's in some of these reports, you know. I just don't know how sometimes this gets by a DEP inspector when someone who's formally trained, this is all they look at, would be more well suited than possibly someone that has to do all
Should
those.
do all those things.
Yeah.
right.
That's,
That's something we can maybe ask DEP.
Yeah, I think it would be worth coordinating, and maybe this is something that collaboratively landfill could do with the township, is say, we would be agreeable to have Northampton County come in and look, to the extent allowed by law, to provide feedback on the sediment control issue and coordinate that with the DEP.
Yeah, I don't know whether I don't think the conservation district has jurisdiction, so I'm not going to make any representation here about that. I can't. I don't have the ability to do that right now, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, I think it would be instructive to understand whether or not, because there is a DEP permit, the conservation district isn't
They're under
permitted
the
to come on.
DEP.
I guess that's the question.
It's harming the DEP.
So,
I was
and
just
if,
gonna say, like, so these, on the March 14th one, this, Veronica and Harding, they're from the DB stormwater.
Yeah.
That's, they actually came out, looked at every one of our ponds. It's not actually going out for that reason, to
To
go
look
look
at
at
the
that
ponds.
trap and look at that other side of the road and all the ponds.
so I think what we have to do is figure out legally whether the conservation district can come out, whether the DEP feels that that's something that they would allow under the DEP permit or that is required under the DEP permit, and then coordinate that depending on the legal position, with the landfill.
Yeah.
But we just have to figure out legally whether the DEP, permit means that you can't have the conservation.
And I'm not, and
And
I'm
I
not
think it would
saying,
be great for them.
the landfill's not, I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong, that's not my position, you know what I mean? There's a lot of, there's even those in that drawing, any exposed dirt, any exposed ground over, I believe they give you 60 days, 30 days, needs to have intermediate cover plates, you know, I don't know if that's, you know, who knows? You know, so that's the type of thing that I think some places lacks in people. And then just one other thing I had, and this is one of the other conversations, you know, it would be the repair of that 4A and 3C down channel that runs into the main segment track, what is it, 4? I think.
Second one.
Yeah. My question is that, will that channel stay in place after the landfill's closed? Or does that eventually it stays, right?
Yeah, it's a heavy riprap.
Along with the benches, the terraces going all the way up through? Okay. So
That's a post-construction stormwater management plan
Yeah.
that's approved for the site once it's capped and covered and closed.
And I took a look at that post-construction zone, and I didn't see that specifically called out. I looked at your final grading plan, I don't know if it was shown on there or not, but there was obviously a repair to something that was already installed. So obviously there was a failure at some point of that channel. When that was constructed, how was it constructed and why did it fail?
You have a year that it happened?
It happened, yeah. It was repaired, well, this is the ongoing thing that was repaired.
What month is that?
It's pretty much falls down through everyone.
Yeah.
So do we know what is the ongoing issue with that control and what happens to it that requires a repair? Can you explain what that is?
Let me just bring up one more point before they start. My concern is obviously, there's always what you guys put in a Form 37, is when you do a major construction project, right? It's stamped by your engineer who basically signs off on the work that was constructed per the plans. Now, that channel, and this is going back, because I've looked at some of this stuff, has been eroding for many, many, many years. And my concern is, how is it being repaired now? Was there a Form 37 submitted for that? And what is the impact potentially, is this gonna have to be repaired 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years? And how much bonding is there for that channel? If it failed now, what are we bonded out for? And what was the repair cost now? Because, on one of those photos, it's pretty much the whole channel going inside the landfill. That's my concern.
I don't know the exact number, but the bonding is.
It covers
It's-
the entire site.
But we're
Or
talking,
the entire
It's riprap, and now, and I know, they're always, my experience over the last 30 years, is where they start seeing continual problems, they're improving the situation, and in this case, it's riprap, riprap baskets going in there. Now, before it was just
stone or whatever.
stone channel, so they're seeing, it's just, having to be repaired too often, so they're basically improve the situation. And that will go on with the, the life of the landfill, when it closes, it doesn't close. It's called stormwater off gas,
I understand.
everything's got to be maintained,
Yeah.
and again, I don't know the percentage of volume, it's huge, I'm sure we'll far exceed what cost of some storm channels. I'm not
I don't want to.
guy stamping this,
Yeah,
guy
yeah,
stamping this stuff.
Yeah,
It'd
you're
be
not the
hard
guy
pressed
stamping
to-
it.
But it'd be hard pressed to
Guy
see,
stamping.
right, that what they've done now is not gonna hold up.
And that is my concern, if it was installed per plan the first time, and we had engineered drawings of what the stormwater calculations were gonna be going down the side of that mountain, and it was installed at a time when everyone thought this was right, now we have problems, you know, whether it's 10, 15, 20 years later already, you know, we're gonna have, like you said, you can't predict the future, but was there a Form 37 submitted for the repairs of that channel?
You have to check.
Okay.
Can you just explain what is it sounds like there's a repetitive issue with the stormwater channel that causes it to erode and
Which fills up the
Yeah,
sediment
that-
trap.
And just to be clear, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that characterization if we can sort of take out some of the words like repetitive and things like that.
It was an
And
ongoing
just ask
issue.
Astor to.
It wasn't that it was fixed and then destroyed. It wasn't, they've been making this improvement over many months of putting these
Okay.
stormwater channels in. So it's an ongoing construction project. It wasn't like they finished it and then a month later, it was all destroyed again. That's not.
So it's not something where it's getting washed
It
out?
was basically starting
It
to pop
is.
and work there. Well, there was some damage towards the very bottom. We had some of those 8-inch storms. I mean,
Right.
but they were still constructing the channel to upgrading it to the new, I don't want to call it standard, the new design for
Okay.
it. So there was some damage down at the southern and the low end from some of those heavy storms, but that's unfortunately that I don't know, that was under God's control. Is how do you, stormwater channels aren't designed to handle that kind of stuff.
Is the
So it's
stormwater
not-
channel the way it's handled? So I'm just trying to understand because I don't have the backgrounds of the three of you. So I'm trying to understand, there's a sediment collection that's happening at the bottom that happens after you clean it out and you get more sediment again. You clean it out, you get more sediment again. Is that sediment collecting there because of this channel or is that a different?
Well, some got in there when it was destroyed, you got some in there, but those are sediment ponds, that's the intention of ponds. So
Okay.
there's markers on there, on those ponds that when they reach a certain height, because they are designed to collect sediment and let out clean water, roughly free of sediment. That's the purpose of it. It's not just to hold the water and meter it out, it's to let the sediment settle. So they're doing what they're designed to do, and then
Okay.
So the area north of the trap it's not all final cap yet either,
north of the road track, the
I
north
want
of
to
that sediment pond.
There's a distinction between like said trap A to the north, that's not a stormwater basin.
Yeah.
That's different. So are you talking about said
Yeah.
trap A or the
Basin four.
or the stormwater basin? Basin 4, okay.
So directly above it is correct, is on.
It is. And I saw that, isn't there piled up all the way up on top anymore or no? That's pretty much all final cap going down to that basin.
Correct. They're gonna,
Yeah.
facing slope.
Yeah, then there's the stores rock at the very, very, very top. That's.
Yeah, I didn't, like I said, I didn't,
There's a staging area for some.
I thought there was a big staging area for spill or proposed for above that area with the northern realignment. I didn't know if there was a big pile. That's all I'm saying. If the sediment is actually coming from a pile on the top, or it's coming from the area that's final cap as well. So any sediment that's going into the sediment trap 4 is from a capped area of the land.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Or the road.
There's some.
Yeah, it's a
Some road.
road,
Yeah.
it's cap vegetated, and,
So I'm sorry, I just want to understand this. the sediment channel that's getting repaired, has there been new designs that's been submitted to address the washout of it? Or is it just that you have new technology or different data to change what was there before? Because what I understand is that it was one thing and then it changed to something new and you're in the process of putting something different there.
So in the beginning of this, to answer the question, we never felt like it was constructed properly. We did not do a great job putting it in. I
Okay,
was trying to do it right.
okay,
I always said that a lot.
sorry. Well, who didn't construct it properly?
Bird construction.
The first construction company that was
Yeah,
supposed
when
to
I got here in
construct.
2019 is when they constructed that downstream.
Okay,
And we were never happy with it. They actually had them come back out and for free, try to fix it again. And
Okay.
so we just, when now we came out to do the sub, we're having now to do it right. Because we've
Okay.
never been happy with it.
okay, so it wasn't functioning the
Oh,
way
yeah,
that you
we
intended
wanted
it to function.
Correct, yeah.
So now we're having a different company try
Correct, yeah,
to create one that is functioning.
correct.
Okay. And then what is the timeline for that?
We would like to have done already, but just with the storms and snow that we had, it slows everything down.
Have they given you projection?
So I'd have to check to see. I struggle with the projections because the weather controls everything, so.
Sure.
I mean, the gas line was supposed to be on last June, so I mean, it's, you know,
Okay.
for me, sometimes it's done.
Is it possible to add that as like an update, like you can provide the
Yeah, I can do
status of it? Is that
Yeah.
something doable? Okay.
You know, in that downstream, I mean, that's something that Mikowski and Vipon look at every time they come out, so.
Okay. Thank you, I appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
Victoria, were you talking about the next agenda update? Or the next, or just?
Like for our landfill committee meetings, like it gives us the information on when we have the gas to come online, when certain things are gonna be completed. It'd be nice to be added in, you know, update on the stormwater channel, what's this, you know, where they are in the, I guess the update, upgrade.
Right, so we don't have to wait for the next quarter to get this redone.
Oh, well, that's a different question. I was expecting them at the next landfill committee meeting,
Which is a
quarter away.
Which is too soon.
So if you know, I don't know, how often are they on site daily?
Napa?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. But we don't know how, like, they haven't.
Well, I mean, they're doing a bunch of different projects, so it's like things get prioritized. Right now, they have the channel set, but, you know, it's not done. But I'll get you an update.
And I think, Scott, you report in on the status of that work when you do your
Yeah, do it.
inspections every 2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean,
That's for his inspection.
Correct.
Okay, that.
Are inspections scheduled ahead of time, or are they unannounced? I'm just curious.
Depends.
my
Whether
inspections
your
are,
inspections or the DEP?
my inspections are scheduled.
These are scheduled, Mikowski's are scheduled, Vipon's are express.
So maybe the best then is directed to you, Scott, to provide us like an update on maybe, you know,
Sure.
do the inspection. Maybe ask them what is their projected.
Because if you look at the scheduled dates of when the inspections took place and the complaints related to smell, there's usually not smell complaints on the days inspections take place, or very minimal. Coincidence?
Yeah, it would be a random surprise inspection, I would say, probably. But some of the things coming out.
Well, you're saying natural schedule and the Scots are scheduled.
Mikowski had an engineer
Yeah.
inspector, yeah. The Vipon's are.
I was just looking at the dates on here.
Yeah, yeah.
One more quick question I have. I'm sorry.
No,
You said you were done last
No, one more, I got one more. The Form 37s that are submitted by the landfill's engineer, you don't review those at all, those are strictly to DEP, right? So all the construction activities that take place there, an engineer signs off on the landfill, goes to DEP, he approves it, and you don't review that, right?
No.
Okay. That's it.
Good questions.
Yeah, Mikowski's.
All right, right now I don't think the township does have anybody on the township side that looks at what
Yeah.
the submissions are to cross-check what the landfill engineer submits.
Do you perform stormwater, like, when they put storm pipe in the ground, gas pipe in the ground, does Hanover inspect any of that, or it's pretty much?
No.
But they submit, I'm assuming you guys submit for heavy
It was
pipe in the ground?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not charging any inspections on site besides
Not the
besides
those.
those, not the construction inspections?
I don't
Is
think
it, is it,
I don't believe the township ever has really had, even when the committee was, we had the engineers, the staff, that was not something that we, the township ever had.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
That's all I got, no more.
Let's see, I think for March 21st.
Where
Number
are we
6.
again?
What's that?
Where are we?
I think number 6. March 21st, repaired leachate seats observed during March 7th. Inspection had been repaired. EL is continuing to prepare the plan for submission for the vertical gas wells in the southeast corner. They recently capped area. Removal of sediment around the leachate was ongoing. That was on and off, and due to a lot of weather conditions, rain, and then also obviously with the capping project kind of taking precedent, that contractors moved in there, and obviously that is kind of a higher priority since the leachate storage tank hasn't even used yet so far.
can you just explain what the leachate seep is?
Leachate seeps occur in acid and jump in your better, but it's basically when you get a lot of rain, it percolates down into the waste, the active air that percolates down into there, and sometimes it'll, instead of getting down into the leachate collection system, it'll hit a barrier someplace below that of waste and come out on the surface. Come out on the surface. So basically how they repair that, and it's in the waste, that's why it smells like it does, the gas, all that down there. So basically once they see a seep, they'll get an excavator out there and start digging into the waste to try and get down and remove the basic barrier and the waste, wherever's stopping it, get it down, direct it back into the waste so it can get down into the leachate collection system, back down where it's supposed to go.
So that could happen, for example, like if there's a mattress or some type of waste in the mass where instead of the water being able to percolate down, it's getting blocked by that, and it goes to the point of least resistance and it seeps up. So they go in, they excavate it, they recreate the path so that it's able to percolate down to the bottom. And that's just sort of the nature of the operations a little bit, and it's exacerbated when there's a lot of precipitation.
Okay. So when you're doing the excavation, where do you place the excavated soil or material?
Yeah, it's good.
Back in the same place.
Sent back up top.
Like
Okay.
you put stone,
Yeah,
some
fill the
stone.
holes down so the water can continue to drain down.
Basically, that kind of stuff.
So it goes back.
Yeah.
Okay, so the leachate seeps are something that can happen, ebb and flow with water and whatever happens at the underneath.
It's a common thing at any landfill. They happen. That's
Okay,
just,
so that's just
it's a
something that
simple,
goes
it's
with
routine
nature.
maintenance, simple, pretty simple repair.
In places where there's a lot of precipitation, coming from the desert in California, they do all the rest, so being a PA now, it seems.
You said that was your challenge, right? Your challenge?
That's right.
Came from one kid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
Just so I have, I can visualize this, when did you guys start trying to address the odors on that southeastern south?
That was like March 2023, and that's all outlined in that letter that the township got a copy of.
That, the one that's the date of March?
I do. It is, I think the date is February 22nd.
February 22nd. That was the one that was in response to the DEP.
So that was from you, Neil?
That was from Waste Protection from Bethlehem Landfill, yes, and it was to DEP with a CC to the township.
Okay, so that, the issues in that cell started in March 2023. We're continuing with what you were doing to try to mitigate or reduce the issues. But I think now, at this point, it's being capped, right?
It is
And
capped, yes.
It's capped, and we're just working on
Yes.
the gas wells. Okay. So I just wanna, I think it's important for the public, because a lot of, at least I look at it and I see the odor complaints and the location of the odor complaints, which are not, they're odor complaints that come from residents, but then also the DEP looks like they had done a number of additional like drive-by or inspections, and they had confirmed that the odors were from the landfill as opposed to another outside source. A lot of people talk about the wastewater treatment plant, they talk about the train garbage or like just whatever burning or whatever is happening in the community. I think it's important for the community to understand that this process with this area that we've had this odor from has started from March 2023. We're now in April of 2024, and they're doing wells to try and still collect that gas. But that is where that came from, and it's a process that takes this time. The landfill is doing its job in trying to mitigate it, and trying to capture it, trying to deal with it. But the issue in itself is something you can't predict ahead of time. It happens, and then it takes this much time to try to mitigate. And that period of time, in a year's worth, there are the issues that the residents are experiencing, or the people in the community are experiencing during this time of mitigation or repair. So I just want to.
And just to be clear, there are odor complaints, and you can see in all of the inspections where they note an odor is that the landfill is the source of an odor, where they can't determine what the source is, whether it's other, what the nature of the odor is. So I just want to be clear that not every odor complaint that is called in is attributed to the landfill. So to suggest otherwise,
I'm
just
not
want to be
suggesting
clear.
every odor complaint is. I've also heard the flip side that none of the odor complaints are related to the landfill. They must be from some other source.
Well, I'm not,
So I
that's
don't
not a
wanna-
representation that the landfill has made, that it's never had an odor.
Okay.
In fact, I think to the contrary, that we've acknowledged when there's
I'm
a
not
source
even
of
saying it's
odors.
coming from you, I'm just saying in general, there's like two different, I've heard from the community two different sets. I've heard from one set it's always from the landfill, another set that it's never from the landfill. And just like anything else in life, there's something's true to both sides. So, and when in that situation, you go to the DEP and you look at what the DEP has done and what they have identified. As you indicate, some are not. And during this year process, they've worked with you and you've worked with them and the township to try and repair the issues that are believed to be the cause of the odor. So that's what we're trying to do with now. It's just the process from March 2023, April 2024, and what has occurred in the meantime, which now is resulting in additional wells being drilled to help mitigate the gas that's coming from that section, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Right, and the other thing too is the caller, when they call in complaints, may not be educated on knowing what to describe or how to describe the odor. And if they're not saying the right words, they're not recording it the right way. So I think it just depends on who's calling in too. Because, it's not, there's a difference between the sewage treatment plant and smelling landfill gas. There's huge difference. So, anyway.
I appreciate it.
But like she said, we're here to, but if there's an odor, we want to fix it.
Yes, and that's why we absolutely encourage, in addition to calling to DEP, I think the site can be the most immediately responsive to that, and Astor and his team make themselves available 24/7. So, again, I would urge anybody who smells an odor to call the landfill so that they can get out there and determine whether it's coming from the landfill if it is, what the source is, and to get in there and immediately do the work
So
necessary
on
to
your next
fix.
newsletter, can you include the contact information for people to call?
Well, the first call should go to DEP, because the DEP knows, when I say knows what an odor is and how to describe it. And then if the resident wants to call the landfill, I encourage that too, I don't discourage it.
And we can add that to the newsletter. It's also posted on the township website and it's posted on the landfill
And it
website.
says to call DEP first and then you guys. I'm pretty sure it's.
I'm not sure what the order is. All I'm suggesting
I'm
is that,
telling you, the order is, first is DEP. And
I'm just suggesting that the landfill be called so that they can be immediately responsive, and the hotline number is posted on the township website, on the landfill's website, and we're happy to include that in our next newsletter.
Thank you. Because I know a lot of my neighbors have no clue to even find the township website.
What's on our website?
I don't think anybody under the age of 40 would go to a website as their first source for a piece of information, unfortunately.
No one under 40 would go to a website for
No.
information.
No, as their first place for information.
Where do they go?
I don't know, I think that they go to like TikTok or some kind of social media outlet or their friends, texting. But, yeah, that's just anecdotal, not based on any.
All right, section 7, DEP inspection reports. So it's always wanted to note any violations that were noted in the inspection reports, DEP inspection reports. So January 11th, where the DEP noted the gas exceedances at the southeast corner. And also they noticed some of the seeps and the gas holes at that, and we kind of discussed that over earlier. January 26th, the report had didn't note any violations, and it did note that Bethlehem Landfill is actively addressing the seeps and the odor issues, and repairing the capping project for the southeast corner. February 21st, no violations during inspection, but it did note that a notice of violation was sent on February 8th to the landfill regarding the odor issue and the seeps and the gas exceedances.
And that's what that February 22nd letter
Response
was in
letter.
response to, correct?
February 26th report, no any violations. And March 15th, again, no violations, and that, again, that Bethlehem Landfill is, they continue to note that they were working with Bethlehem Landfill. Then they also did note that the breach was set upon Trap A, and that needs repaired, and then also put into a program, which the inspection that BL has done.
And I would just note that we submitted a written response on that issue as well, and that letter was dated March 21st, and the township was CC'd on that.
Okay, observations that were noted during the inspection reports. The January 11th report noted possible stormwater collection from Pond A at that point, but that was there was a violation that noted for that. Let's see. Let me screw up here. It was just that DEP that continued working on the seeps and the capping project at the southeast corner, where it shouldn't have been DEP inspections. Should have been DEP violations.
Which needs?
B2 should be DEP violations.
In A2.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Maybe not, no. February 21st report, they reported that breach in northern berm sedimentation on said trap A, and that DEP requested BL's Bethlehem Landfill submit a plan to address the repairs in the southern trap A. It also noted strong gas odors affected the southeast corner of SC2AB. At that point, active capping project area, so that can be caused by the excavation work and that was going on. Not caused by, but exacerbated the problem at that particular time. February 26th, no off-site odors were detected, and I'm going to cover that already, sorry. March 15th, no landfill gas odors were detected along the south slope. The geosynthetic liner tarps have been installed, liner has been installed at the southeast corner, and DEP notes that it appears to be mitigating the fugitive gas emissions. So DEP is basically saying that it looks like what they've done so far is working to help with the gas emissions. And again, there's still the wells to be installed, which will further enhance that situation. The repairs to sediment trap A, the area of concern is February inspection report have been implemented and corrected.
Just so I understand, what is the timeline for the gas wells that you're working on right now? Do you have any idea for them?
They're out to bid right now. So we have 12, we've done for 12 wells in that area.
So the cell 2E-2AB, sorry, SE-2AB, you want to put how many wells?
We have a design right now for 12 wells.
A design for 12, and you're putting that out for bid?
Yes.
When is the bid supposed to be returned, or what's your deadline to receive it?
There was more and more, like they were supposed to have that stuff to us by the end of this week, and then we'll
Okay.
submit it out, so we usually put it out for about 2 weeks.
Okay. What's in your bid, do you specify, is there a specification of how quickly you'd like it to be completed by?
We'd like it to be done by July 31st, but obviously if they're available, we'd like it to be done sooner than later.
Okay, so then your hope is to have the 12 wells installed and operational by July 31st?
By Q3. But again, our goal is sooner.
Or sooner, for sure. Okay. So then hopefully in our next landfill meeting, we can have an update on what's going on with them and how they're working.
Is that part of the final grade or no? We're gonna have to go back there.
That'd be fine.
Is that? Like the,
In that southeast.
Well,
that southeast corner, yeah. Is that final
Once we
grade?
finish up there, yeah, we'll
Okay.
finish it up there.
And then, I think you mentioned it, but the gas to energy plant,
The goals, like, they're, again, everything's constructed and ready to go, they said there's waiting on the occupancy permit. The dates that they gave us was, May 31st at the soonest, and June 14th at the latest. But if all they need is occupancy permit, they can get that right place before then.
right? And so, that process currently being reviewed by our third party,
Just was the key codes, right?
and so we want to make sure that the third party does the sufficient job that we want.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we're making sure that that's done properly, and then hopefully it will be online. And the objective would be, so everybody understands, the flare burns the landfill gas, which goes into the atmosphere, which is not good for the environment. Very bad. Landfill's going to create gas no matter what. So obviously this gas plant, the idea is to turn it into natural gas so that it can be basically recycled, repurposed to be used by some other entity who utilizes natural gas. So I am looking forward to that. What's the update on the PFAS?
That is still going through that at Form 37. So that's what the DEP, and they're finishing up some of their construction, but that's where we're at with that, so that should be online fairly soon.
What is the anticipated PFAS monitoring expected to be? How often are you going to be testing for PFAS?
If I can set for that.
I'm sorry? I didn't hear what you said.
Yeah, I don't know the answer for that.
Is there anybody that does?
It's a treatment plant, so it will be treating the input and monitoring the output.
Okay.
There are no requirements for that, and so, what the specifics are for that, I don't know, but there's no monitoring, there's no requirement for the pretreatment, there's no monitoring requirement. So, we're sort of out ahead of the curve on this one, so I don't have the details. I assume they're monitoring it all the time, they're gonna be testing it all the time. That's
Okay.
part of the point, I think.
Will the landfill be agreeable to provide their testing results to us once it's online, the township?
No, we're not in a position to agree to that. There's no obligation for us to do that. When that becomes an obligation, we'll certainly comply with our obligation.
Okay, so I want everybody to understand, PFAS, forever chemicals, come from the landfill in the leachate, and while we're having this wonderful system that's going to treat the PFAS, my understanding is, as far as what PFAS is being treated, what you got out of it, all of that data is protected within the landfill knowledge and operations. So we don't get to understand what was in there or how it gets discharged to the wastewater treatment plant and what happens to it there.
Well, just to be clear, there are, to the extent that there are PFAS, and there are hundreds of different types of PFOS and PFAS, and we don't have to get into the science of it all, but the landfill doesn't use those, they don't create those. Those constituents are in the
Garbage is not.
in the
treated.
waste that's
Right.
coming in from the waste that's coming from neighborhoods and institutions and all the things. We, as a passive receiver, are voluntarily treating our leachate, and the data that we're gathering from that treatment program, that's going to be, that treatment plan is going to be permitted by DEP. The data that we gather is our data, and when we're obligated, I mean, I suspect that when the industrial waste discharge permits are renewed for any of the industrial waste discharges to the POTW, there's going to be a monitoring requirement. And obviously, we and every other industrial discharge permit holder are going to have to monitor and
So
report.
that will be public.
I suspect that's going to be what's coming.
Right. Otherwise, you wouldn't spend, I'm assuming, millions of dollars to create the PFAS treatment plant if you didn't expect to have to treat it anyway at some point in the future.
Well, I mean, I think that, yes, I mean, industries across the board understand that this is an issue, and, we're fortunate that Waste Connections is voluntarily trying to get out in front of this instead of waiting to get some sort of order
Appreciate that.
demanding them to do something.
Okay.
So there's a portion that's unlined underneath the line landfill. Portion that's unlined basically takes the groundwater, pumps it to the sewage treatment facility, I'm assuming, right?
So
That
just to be
water
clear,
won't be
the unlined portion has been covered and capped.
Yes, that's
So
what.
there's no new precipitation
Yes.
coming through that waste mass.
Correct.
The precipitation coming through that waste mass is captured
Yes.
and run through an abatement system.
Yes. So the new system will only account for what's from the liner up, not the old waste.
No, everything is getting
Everything.
directed to the treatment, to our
Yeah.
on-site pre-treatment, and then we'll go out to the
Okay.
POTW.
That was what I wanted.
But the old waste, where you're saying that you put a cap over, I think the assumption is because you capped it, and there's no, and the idea is if you cap it, there's no precipitation reaching the old, that it would not generate any leachate.
No, that's not true. There's an abatement, sorry.
The
that's
abate-
not-
Go ahead.
the abatement wells that are all along, run parallel to Appleton Road in front of the land, along the
Okay.
landfill. So those are all sucking out groundwater,
Okay.
kind of
From the old-
cone of depression. That's
okay.
part of the old treatment, how to correct that, the contamination from the original, very original landfill.
Right.
So all that water that's being pumped all goes in, right now it
So
goes
both.
into, so it's gonna,
We'll go in.
so it's gonna go, it's gonna get directed into there.
Okay,
It's all
thank you,
going.
because I didn't understand that, thank
So that's the original abatement wells that were put in
So the-
years ago to, right?
you. The abatement well, leachate, plus the current, whatever's from the newer landfill that's lined, all go into the treatment.
Remember the bathtub and the straws at the zoning hearing board? Do you remember that?
Was that a Rick Wagner analogy?
No, it was another guy, I forget his name. But that's it. We're like, picture a bathtub, and all the abatement wells have straws. And the plume, because it was polluted back then, it's now, I mean, most of it's cleaned up.
Yeah, they're running-
They did a
they're
good
running
job,
late.
the abatement wells did a good job. And there's little straws, and they're going in there, and they're sucking up little pieces of flint or whatever, and that's the pollution, and that's how it worked. That's what they said at the zoning hearing board. I'm like, what?
I think we were hopeful to have Scott give us an overview of just to show everybody the different cells of the landfill and where current operating what the case was, but it looks like our tech is down. So maybe we'll see that for the next landfill.
Well, I appreciate, what Astor, of course, we do report on, but Scott, this extra stuff really helped. Thank you.
We want to,
Is there anything else from the committee members?
That is very exciting.
Is there anything else from the committee members? We'll move on to the next.
No, that's pretty good thing, good questions.
I'm happy right now.
If not, then I guess take questions from the audience.
You have the torch and it's burning off the excess gas.
Mark, the microphone. Sorry.
New one needs microphones. You have the, hello?
Oh, there you go.
You have the torch and it's burning off the excess gas and you see the flame. After it burns, what does it become? Like a car burns fuel and then it comes out carbon monoxide or dioxide, whatever. What happens to the gas when it burns, the flame is there, and the leftovers protrude into space? What is that gas?
I mean, that's a complicated question to answer. I think what I would emphasize is that's a permitted flare that's monitored, and we have to remain in compliance with our permit requirements for that flare.
What's the gas?
We don't have
The
the
gases?
science.
I'm going to think it becomes a gas, right? A gas will burn off and become an actual product, right? And some sort of exhaust, what that is.
Yeah.
Again, I can look into it.
I'm just curious. Well, you know, trees live off of one thing and produce another.
Mark, just to elaborate on that, so we do testing each year annually on the emissions because we have to run it through to see how much, when it is burned off, there's a calculation to show what byproducts are left, and we do report that every year for our Title V permit. And that's public.
Okay, where do I find that then?
DEP.
In here?
Township probably also has copies of those reports.
Because that's what, renewable every 5 years?
The Title V
The
permit,
permit is, yeah, but we have to submit the reports. And
annual reporting, and that would be like the SCS reports
Correct.
we get.
Okay, as
address all the complaints related to this smell and the odor. I know we kind of talked around about doing some of the other things, the new gas plant coming online, but to me, I need to be, for the record, that is very concerning, and people are smelling it on Lower Socket Road, at the Preserve, Reddington Road, where they historically have never smelled it, and it just, as you can see, has become worse and worse.
I don't think I've ever seen this many pages.
Actually, I agree
It's
with
actually
you.
a small print. Thank you for bringing that up.
In my travels around the area, I do smell landfill odor on Lower Saucon Road near Easton Road in that area, coming up the hill toward Island Park Road toward the landfill. You can smell pockets of gas. I live 2 3/4 miles south of the landfill, and when the wind is coming from the north, which is not very often, thank goodness, I can sometimes smell the landfill by my front door. That's pretty far away. So, and again, it's rare. You know, it's like maybe once every couple of months, because the wind doesn't come from the north that much. But I do notice that the landfill gas does seem to be traveling further from the landfill these days.
But again, that's, I mean, I think that's valid by everybody, and it has been a problem for the last year. And so you should be seeing, again, already some noticeable differences, and once these 12 gas wells are installed, all that gas that used to make it to the atmosphere is now going to be captured by those gas wells, and so it should
Yeah.
not a huge part of the problem.
Yes, I know it's being worked on.
Yeah.
Hopefully that will resolve, because that's pretty far distance for it to travel.
No, the winds are right, yeah, it can go, and if it's heavy, you know, the winds are right, and you got very humid conditions,
Yeah.
low cloud cover, it should be mitigated substantially.
I think that was going to the point that I was trying to make before, is that I think I will acknowledge, and I think it's important for people to acknowledge that the landfill does try to address problems as they arise. It's important to see that. What is something that we have to deal with, which will be something we always deal with when we have a landfill in the township, is that when there is a problem, it can take this amount of time to finally find the source of the problem and use the proper mitigation to address the problem. So from March 2023 to hopefully July 31st, 2024, the issue of the gas at this particular corner that is entering into the community, causing odor complaints and whatnot, it is an ongoing problem for that period of time. So it's a year plus 3 months. Now, other issues might be able to address in a month. Some take longer, but it is the nature of the business that we have to contend with when we have a landfill, and I wish there was a different way to deal with it, but unfortunately we can't. I hope that we do see an end to this odor issue when the wells are drilled, and then that will finally address the problem. But it is unfortunate that landfills create this problem, and we have to deal with them.
Right, and I encourage people to call in, because if they don't call in to notify DEP that there's an issue, DEP doesn't know, because they only come out once or twice a month, and if they're not smelling it the day that they come out there, there's no record of it. So by people calling in, there's records, and as we can see by these pages and pages. And when they start seeing pages and pages like that, they're going to make the landfill do things to change their method of collecting the gas, and that's what we're seeing here. So that's a result, in my opinion, of people calling in. So I want to thank the residents for doing that.
One of the best watches of our community are the only people that can really protect it.
So, You have garbage, you have gas. Because when I called DEP and I talked to the girl over there, and we had some lengthy talks, she wants to know, does it smell like gas? Does it smell like garbage? To me, it's garbage. It smells like garbage. I don't know what to tell the difference between gas and garbage, but I know when I leave garbage in my little can on my countertop too long and there's something in it that's rotten, it smells like garbage. So, are you trying to tell me that all the smells coming from the landfill are from the gas that it generates and not the garbage itself?
I think it depend on the day. There could be days when it's a garbage odor, you smell it, we're on the very top, it comes right. Scott said, if it's humid or the air is heavy, push everything down, you might smell the garbage, but you know, the way the gas is shown, that southeast corner, like we've been having predominantly, I mean, when you go up and on Water, that's predominantly all gas that you're smelling right there, like Red Barn down to Rehoffer, that's gas.
Okay.
If it smells like the back of a dump truck with garbage in it, it's the daily, when you do the daily stuff. If it smells gassy, then it's, yeah.
Well, I still really didn't figure out how to tell the difference.
It's hard to tell the difference. I mean, I know that there was a lawsuit that was filed against the landfill for landfill odors, and it turned out that they were odors from the POTW. So it's not an exact science, unfortunately, but you know, to the extent that we know, if we know that someone's experiencing an issue, and you call the landfill, we can go out and we can investigate, because obviously, you know, we are operating in a community, and we want to address any problems that are being created by the landfill, and you know, I think that's obviously Astor, it's very important to him to run a big ship, and I think he's been very responsive.
Right, and those residents in that lawsuit were over in Freemansburg, I think.
Yes.
They weren't even around here, so they're probably were smelling the sewage treatment thing, because that would be in their direction. So even people didn't know about it.
What do you tell the difference between the sewage treatment and garbage?
They're very distinct, different odors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, it smells out of my house a lot more than it ever did, which is unusual, you know.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Yes.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.
Second time.
Okay.
Where's the gas? Title 5 stuff. So excited.
I'm acting, right?
Thank you for the technical difficulties, and I'm happy to help you.
You know what, I think the filter needs to be just like the best mark.
Oh.